and welcome to the Team Legacy Invaders YouTube channel. This is Benji, and I'm bringing you my 60-card Grass is Greener Infernoid deck, which is very different from any other Grass is Greener Infernoid deck you've seen so far, because this one is pure. It plays nothing but Infernoid cards. Just ignore that Fairy Tale Snow. It might as well not even be there. It's not even remotely important. Alright, I'm lying. It was too good not to play at least one copy of Fairy Tale Snow, but this is for the most part a pure Infernoid deck. No Light Swarms, no Zoos, and I brought it to my locals yesterday because they're having a 2-box tournament. The 3-box tournament on Monday I didn't get to play in, but that had like 30 people. This had 18, so it's pretty good. I went undefeated in Swiss. I made top 8, played top 8, won top 8, then lost in top 4 to somebody I beat earlier on. So, and I have a pretty tough locals, so that's pretty good overall for this deck. I had to play Zoo Dolces and Zoonoids and bunch of other crap, paleos. Anyways, let me run through what's going on here. So the Infernoid engine, we got 2 of everything, 2 10s, 2 9s, 2 8s, 2 7s, 2 6s, which I know people only like to play 1, but because this is a pure deck, a lot of the plays involve making synchro plays with Decatron, and you want to be able to level modulate. So having more of these is actually not a bad thing. I also play 2 5s, same thing, no one really plays this one, but I use it a lot. So if you can't win the game, pulling a card out of your opponent's hand is always a good move. It's also good for additional OTK purposes. We got 2 4s, 2 3s, 2 2s, 2 1s. I use the 1s more than anything, and they're really good in the paleo match. You just put them out there and just start sending everything back. Because it night beams everything back into the deck. It's very good for that. Triple Decatron, 1 copy of Fairy Tale Snow. I know a lot of people play 2. Again, this is a pure deck, and it's in here because it's too good not to play, but it does get in the way of a lot of other cards. Pure Infernoids can't really play hand traps if you want to play Reasoning, Monster Gate, which I do play, so it's kind of in the way, it's kind of not. So that's why it's still here. So the Void engine, play triple Vanishment and triple Imagination, because I always intend to go first, and the goal is to sack my opponent hard with Imagination. Additionally, if you're playing like 1 Imagination and like 3 Vanishments just to do the feast combo, your opponent's going to use Dryden to pop Vanishment, so you're not going to get a search off of it. This card they have to destroy, and if they don't, what are they going to do? Destroy Tierra when you summon Tierra? So this card is really good. It's also, if you can't use it, you can always use it for feast now, so it's not as dead as it used to be. If you were playing like Cosmos or Domain Monarchs or something like that, where people wouldn't go into the extra deck, everyone is going in the extra deck right now. So this card is just like extra copies of Reasoning. I'm playing 2 Void Seers, which I used to play 1, but just because the deck got bigger, I'm playing the second. First gets milled. Sometimes you search this card. Put in a lot of work the other day. Got 3 copies of Feast. Honestly, you're never going to resolve 3 copies of Feast, and you pretty much would rather search it, because then you have the cost to pay to play it for. But because this deck runs more void spells and traps than most of them, you can have the cost on hand more often. Like most other decks, they don't really keep the cost on hand. They kind of got to get lucky and have a Void Seer and a Void Feast. I have more cards, so it's not that unlikely to happen. Additionally, Void Vanishment is an excellent search card. You don't really want to give it up necessarily, so using Seers or the other traps is really good for that. I play 2 Purifications. Purification is really, really, really good. It's infinite Decatron, if you get Decatron out there. It's the 2nd card I search for. Normally I go Void Launch, unless the scenario says search Imagination, or if the scenario says search Feast, but I go Launch, and then I go into Purification, because Launch will get the Decatron in the graveyard, and Purification will start recycling the Decatron. So if you have the Decatron already, tend to go into Purification first. Then we play a pretty standard, we play 2 Void Launch. I think of this as Pot of Greed for Infernoids. Other people don't play it. They'd rather play Raiden and Mill and hope to get lucky. I'd rather just wait a turn and guarantee what I get. That's the other reason I only play 2 of every Infernoid. I can pretty much get whatever Infernoid I want whenever I want. Maybe not in that turn, but by the next turn I'll have whatever I want. So I'm playing 1 copy of Reasoning, 1 copy of Monster Gate. One of the interesting things you can do with this deck is you can use Void Imagination to send all 3 of the Decatrons to the graveyard for the summon of Tierra. And then you can use Reasoning or Monster Gate specifically to get to snow. So that can leave just the one snow in your deck as the reasoning target. You can do this a similar thing with Void Launch. You can purposely send all the Decatrons to the graveyard, and then you still have snow in the deck. So you can get some sick mills that way. Playing 3 copies of that Grass Looks Greener, and the truth is I do not like this card. I would rather play a smaller deck, but if everybody else is going to be playing this, you will get sacked by the mirror match unless you play a 60 card deck. So as much as I do not like the 60 card deck, you kind of have to play it, and when you do get this card, you do get a lot more interesting plays. But the deck's regular cards are good enough, but not for the mirror match, so you kind of have to play it. I played 2 copies of Left Arm, which I hate. I hate Left Arm Offering. I hate this card. Once that new Ghost Ash thing comes out, this card is going to completely have to come out of the deck, or you're just going to lose, because you're going to play this, you'll lose your entire hand, and then you'll lose all of your cards when they play Ghost Ash. Anyways, I do play a good number of cards that are good to search with this card, which is the only reason I'm getting into it too much. I play Rekindling, and if you send all the Decatrons to the graveyard with Imagination or Launch, you can search for Rekindling with this, which is pretty good. Play 1 for 1 because sometimes you just want to get the Decatron out there, because I prefer to get Purification going than Launch, so 1 for 1 is really good. Rekindling in your hand with Grass could be really broken. Play 1 Burial from a Different Dimension because just top deck a reload to the graveyard is really good. Play 2 Twin Twisters. I side the 3rd one, and I've already had people comment on this, saying, why not just play 3? Why are you playing Galaxy Cyclone? It's bad. Why are you playing Mystical Space Typhoon? It's bad. And that might be from like an experience I've had so far, is that I had Left Arm. I could not use Grass because I've already milled the deck, and I needed to out something. 1 card. I wanted more cards I could search and actually play on the spot. So Galaxy Cyclone's good because it goes to the graveyard, and then you can off Grass every once in a while, then it can pop Vanity's Emptiness, which still comes up a lot, or you can pop a Metal Foe Scale. There are always cards that you can use on Galaxy Cyclone on. If it's in your hand, it's fine, just use it immediately, just so you know you get use out of it. MST is just in here for the same reason. I almost lost the game to Vanity's Emptiness. I wanted to have access to a spell or trap on demand, because I tend to throw away the left arms for Void Vanishment searches, but if I wind up with it, I'll hold on to it sometimes because I won't be able to search. And this will be the card I want to draw. I'll draw garbage, and then I can at least switch it for something I prefer. Same thing, Raigeki, Searchable Destruction with left arm. I haven't actually done that yet. I haven't even drawn Raigeki since I've been playing this build, but it's in here. Play 2 copies of Drowning. Drowning was part of my older build. It was important when Cosmos were big, and Cosmos may be coming back now because Zoo Cosmo is a thing. You need non-targeted non-destruction is why it's good. I might replace 1 with a Torrential Tribute because of a game that happened where, because this card is a little slow, it got spun back into the deck by a Tiramisu, of all things. It was Zoo Dolces, so it was Medolce Tiramisu was summoned alongside of the whole Trident combo, and I couldn't mount the board in time, so I lost. But it is what it is. That was where my top 4 ended. 2 breakthrough skills, which is okay in the zoo match. It's better on your turn for defensive plays. It's really good in the Toad against the Toads, so sometimes you want to just put this in the graveyard so you can negate Toad, because Toad can't negate the effect from the graveyard. Play 1 strike. I own 2. I only main 1. I put in the other one for like pendulums or anything that I guess goes straight into Xyz a lot, which is everything nowadays, so I should probably put in the second one in the main deck, but I'm not at the moment. But I like to play one-ofs of things you can run more than 1, just so your opponent kind of has to assume you run more. That's why I run it at all. And I'm play 1 warning. This warning is just better than that, and sometimes you need to stop Vanity's Fiend from coming down. Breakthrough is also good for Vanity's Fiend. I'll talk about the side deck first, then I'll come back for the extra deck. Side deck, got 2 system downs, ABCs / Cosmos. Didn't play any, but could have happened. And anyways, 2 MSTs and a Twin Twister, because this is a 60 card deck, and if you know back row is going to be a problem for your matchup, just overload on it, because making 1 for 1 trades with some decks, the Infernoids are so strong your opponent can't keep up, so playing extra spell and trap destruction is not a bad thing. Alright, played 2 trap stun because the void spells and traps are not destroyed by Devyaty. So if you activate trap stun and then summon Devyaty, you kill all their traps, including strikes and other things of that nature. I play Triple Fiend Comedian for the mirror match because you really can't. If you want to use Reasoning and Monstercate as like, it's kind of like my backup for when I run up against a 60 card deck. I can't use grass, so they're going to mill their way quickly into a bunch of random garbage using Raiden. Or, what's the Bujin Kagasuchi, I think his name is. So they'll mill random garbage, and then I'll mill my random garbage by doing the same thing, or banishing their stuff. Either way, it's productive. Didn't actually come up in the tournament. This card has got I don't know. It was an idea for a while. Phantom Knight Wing, the goal was you could make Seitsemas 3100, protect them from being destroyed, and you can use his, that way he can run into Dark Destroyer. When I topped a regional, which I'll link the video below, or I'll link it above, anyways, but I topped a regional, I was playing Skill Successor to get over Cosmos, so every once in a while you see a matchup where there's just your monsters aren't big enough for. So I was playing this, but now that Grass is back, I might just put Skill Successor back, as stupid as that card is. But, I mean, it did what it was supposed to do then. 1 Vanity's Emptiness, if you just don't think you can keep up with the matchup. If you draw it, great. If not, whatever. Since you mill, probably won't stay up long. I also keep it here just to get other people to side theirs out, because, you know, gentleman's agreement and all. 1 Soul Drain for the Mermail matchup, but didn't come up, so it didn't matter. I forgot to really take this out, but it's good if you know your opponent's siding in, like, Vanity's Fiend. It gives you additional warning, because you can only put 1 warning, so this is like a 2nd warning, and I got my 2nd strike in here. In every single game, I sided in both MSTs, the Twin Twister, the 2 Trap Stuns, and the Strike. Every single game, I sided those cards in every single time. So I might just start maining them, because when the zoos go, they use 1 card in their hand to make their board, and then they have 5 cards left in their hand at the end of it, and some of them are traps. So you kind of have to assume that traps are going to be on the board. So playing extra spell and trap destruction is not a bad thing. One more tip, just because I forgot to mention it. This deck goes 2nd. I think I mentioned that. This deck goes 2nd in every matchup except Paleo. Against Paleo, you want to go 1st, so you can put all your cards on the board and then flip them over immediately, because they can't OTK you on their first turn. So what you do is you put the Void launches down, the Purifications down, and try and get them face up and building you advantage quickly. You even put down Imagination, even though it's going to make you do half damage or Vanishment. You want to get your cards face up on the field, because then Toad can't negate them. And if this is on the field, it's a very big deterrent to even summon a Toad, because if they do, you're going to summon Tiara, and you're going to mill 6. Anyways, to the extra deck, which I didn't really talk about, I got 2 Tiaras. 1 is just so I can send Tiara with the 2 Omegas for the summon of the first Tiara. I do have 3 Omegas. I did decide that I should kind of adjust for if they hit it, but I don't know if they're going to hit it now. I don't know. I never summon them all. I just use them as graveyard hate. I got the 1 Scarlight if you need damage. I did kill someone with Scarlight the other day, yesterday. I play 1 copy of Stardust Spark Dragon, which is a combo with Seitsemas. The same thing with the Phantom Knight Wing. You keep the Seitsemas from dying if it runs into a bigger monster. That way you can banish things non-targeting. Haven't summoned it in a long time, but I know I will. And since this deck doesn't need an entire zoo engine occupying my extra deck, I can play this kind of situational card, unlike zoos where you gotta run like 8 extra deck cards for that. I play 1 Scrap Archfiend because it's a vanilla, and you need vanillas to OTK. I play 2 copies of Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. This is kind of what came in for the other Omega. There is a OTK that uses the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon into Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. You make Absolute, you summon a Attondel, and then you attack with both, and then you tribute off the Absolute to bring out the Meteor Burst, and that's 81. I have found every once in a while that I'll be synchro summoning the Meteor Burst, and then later in the game I'll still be trying the same OTK, and I would like another one in there. So that could be there. The other option is I can pull it for a Crystal Wing, which, while in this deck is very hard to make, there is a Void Feast combo to make, and I haven't decided that it's worth playing yet. I do play one Clearwing, which is very good if a Kieran comes out. There's also an OTK with Clearwing. You summon Clearwing, summon Onuncu, and then Onuncu can could get negated by Clearwing, which brings Clearwing up to 55. Then you summon Onuncu again, or any other Infernoid at that point, and just attack for the 8,000. Play Gaia Knight, Force of Earth, because it's a vanilla. High Speed Roy Chambara. It just does so much damage by itself. So if you feast and then bring out smaller guys, like you can bring out one Decatron, one Antra, and one, no, not Antra, one Decatron, one Harmadik, and one Patrulea. So you can pop a spell, pop a trap, and then you could make the Decatron into a Pirmais and spin a set card. Then you can make Chambara, which is really strong. Other things you can do. The other 3 more cards. I play one Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon for the instance where a monster is just too big and it comes up. I doubt you'll see it in competitive play now, but Ultimate Falcon was being played a little bit. 7 Sins. So I didn't want to have to deal with these untargetable, unkillable monsters where nothing really mattered. So this monster can go up to 56. It also can get over Crystal Wing if you don't have a way at the moment. That's why it's in here. I don't know if I'm going to keep it in here. I definitely have played it in a bunch of games, but not yesterday. Odd Eyes Absolute, I mentioned the combo. Then there's number 39, Utopia Beyond. This is a new combo I wanted to play that I thought of. The goal is you go Feast, you summon Sjette and 2 Decatrons. And one of the Decatrons you send Piaty to make it level 6. So that's part of why it's in here, because it gives you more level modulation. The other one you send a bigger Noid, but it should be one that contributes itself off. So probably Attondel. If you want, you can actually send the bigger ones, if it makes sense to do so. Maybe Devyaty. Then you have the Sjette tribute off the Decatron that is a Devyaty. Then you overlay. Well, you should really send Attondel, but you could do Devyaty if you need it in the graveyard. But then you overlay the Decatron that's Piaty and the Sjette into Utopia Beyond, reducing all of your opponent's monsters' attack points to 0. Then you summon Attondel and you just attack through them for game. So it's kind of like using a Nuku without using a Nuku, because their monsters are 0 and Attondel attacks twice. So he'll deal 56 and then Utopia Beyond will deal 3,000, which is game. I've done it before. It's a pretty good combo. It's good if you just can't clear their board using the card you have, but you still want to just kill them right there. Because the more ways you kill your opponent, the less worries you have to do about them killing you. Anyways, I'm not going as in-depth in the combos that are available with the deck as I did in the previous deck profile. I will link you to that if you're interested in other Pure Infernoid deck combos. I'm not going to cover them here. Just mentioned a few new things. If you enjoyed this, let me know. If you hate this deck, which is fine, please leave comments down below. I'm curious to hear what you hate about it. I'm not going to change anything based on what you do in the other Noid decks, because it's not the same. The goal of this deck is not to just make the zoo board and then drop Madness and then put out 2 negates and hold your opponent off for a couple turns. My goal is to hold this and then summon all my Infernoids on my turn and OTK you. So that's what's so different about this deck. Anyways, if you have any comments, leave them down below. I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, and so on.